Esprit Fléchier was a French preacher and author, Bishop of Nîmes from 1687 to 1710. Biography. Fléchier was born at Pernes-les-Fontaines, in the département of Vaucluse, in the Comtat Venaissin, and brought up at Tarascon by his uncle, Hercule Audifrit, superior of the Congregation des Doctrinaires. Fléchier entered the order, but on the death of his uncle, he left it, owing to the strictness of its rules, and went to Paris, where he devoted himself to writing poetry. His French poems met with little success, but a description in Latin verse of a tournament, given by Louis XIV around 1662, brought him a great reputation. Fléchier subsequently became tutor to Louis Urbain Lefebvre de Courmartin, afterwards intendant of finances and councillor of state, whom he accompanied to Clermont-Ferrand, where the king had ordered the grand jours to be held, and where Courmartin was sent as representative of the sovereign. Thereat Fléchier wrote his curious memoirs sur les grands jours tenus à Clermont, in which he relates, in a half-romantic, half-historical form, the proceedings of this extraordinary court of justice. In 1668, the Duke of Montausier procured for him the post of lecturer to the Dauphin. The sermons of Fléchier increased his reputation, which was afterwards raised to the highest pitch by his funeral orations. The most important are those on the Duchesse de Montausier, which gained him the membership of the Académie Française, the Duchesse d'Aiguillon, and, above all, Marshal Turenne. He was now firmly established in the favour of the king, who gave him successively the abbacy of Saint-Séverin, in the diocese of Poitiers, the office of Varminer to the Dauphin, and in 1685 the bishopric of Lavaux, from which he was in 1687 promoted to that of Nîmes. The Edict of Nantes had been repealed 2 years before, but the Calvinists were still very numerous at Nîmes. Fléchier, by his leniency and tact, succeeded in bringing over some of them to his views, and even gained the esteem of those who declined to change the faith. During the troubles in the Cévennes he softened to the utmost of his power the rigor of the edicts, and showed himself so indulgent even to what he regarded as error, that his memory was long held in veneration amongst the Protestants of that district. It is right to add, however, that some authorities consider the accounts of his leniency to have been greatly exaggerated, and even charge him with going beyond what the edicts permitted. He died at Montpellier. Esprit Fléchier was elected at the Académie Française on 5 December 1672, as a successor of Antoine Godot. He entered the Académie on 12 January 1673, the same day as Jean Racine and Jean Gallois. Literary style. Pulpit eloquence is the branch of belles-lettres in which Fléchier excelled. He is indeed far below Bossuet, whose robust and sublime genius had no rival in that age. He does not equal Baudelaire in earnestness of thought and vigor of expression, nor can he rival the philosophical depth of the insinuating and impressive eloquence of Jean-Baptiste Massillon. But he is always ingenious, often witty, and nobody has carried farther than he the harmony of diction, sometimes marred by an affectation of symmetry and an excessive use of antithesis. His two historical works, the histories of Theodosius I and of Ximenes, are more remarkable for elegance of style than for accuracy and comprehensive insight. Works: La vie du Cardinal Jean-François Commendon, L'Envoyés Voyages, Ambassadors, Legations and Amp Negotiations. Dans les plus considérables causes des empereurs, rois princes and amp républiques de l'Europe. Écrit en latin par Antoine-Marie Graciani et traduit en français par Monsieur Fléchier. Histoire de Théodose le Grand, pour Monseigneur le Dauphin. Translated into English by F. Manning. Histoire du Cardinal Ximenes. Panegyriques des Saints et quelques sermons de morale. Lettre de Mr. Fléchier, avec Denismes, sur divers sujets. Lettre quasies de Mr. Fléchier, avec une relation des fanatiques du vivre et des réflexions sur les différents caractères des hommes. Rédition. Fanatiques et insurges du vivre et des savants. Acutites et lettres, 1689–1705, Jérôme Millin, Grenoble, 1997. Ouvres completes. Voyage de Fléchier en Auvergne. Oraison funèbres. Ouvres completes de Fléchier, classées pour la première fois, selon l'ordre logique et analogique. Published by Jacques-Paul Minier. Memoirs de Fléchier sur les grands jours tennis Clermont en 1665–1666 was first published in 1844 by Benoit Garnard. The second edition, Memoirs de Fléchier sur les grands jours d'Auvergne en 1665, had a notice by Sainte-Beuve and an appendix by Pierre-Adolphe Chéroul. Reedition, Mercury de France, Paris, 1984. Fléchier left a portrait a character of himself, addressed to one of his friends. The funeral oration of Marshal Turenne has been translated in English in H. C. Fisher's History and Repository of Pulpit Eloquence. Memory. There are streets named after Esprit Fléchier in several communes of France, including Élodie-Liauet, Marseille, Paris and Tarascon.